Well, Dray. Oh, well, Dray. It's what are we here for today then? It's Wrestle Up, isn't it? I've not spoke to you in ages, my friend. How are you diddling?
Well, absolutely, Andy, because you've had the displeasure of having that McKenna like just by himself with you, but now Dray Zero is here at the land of opportunity. And that's I'm not talking about America. I'm talking about the Wrestle Up podcast.
God, yeah. When was the last time for our viewers at Wrestle Up? We last spoke on here. Has it been this year? So I know you've been busy for a while, haven't you? Obviously,
definitely this year. Definitely this year.
Yeah, and it was a while ago.
I think it must have been January or February time because I just didn't have the right schedule to attend the Revolution pay-per-view review. But you know what? This is a revolution. I, Dray Zero, have got marvelous black and white hair, so don't despair like you all care anyway. It is time to go double or nothing. Or is there anything else to talk about beforehand?
Yes, there is. Now, we don't. We're going to habit this, obviously. The poll has got me talking about WWE, would you believe? Because last time I spoke to Paul, we ended up reviewing actual WrestleMania, and I've not watched WrestleMania in years, so anyway, that's a story for another day. But we want to talk to obviously Dray first of all today about all the shocking releases that came up on WWE yesterday, and obviously there has been a lot of releases this year anyway. The people who research your records and that, there's been like lots and lots of releases, but there was some quite shocking releases yesterday. Now, we're just going to talk about the main couple that released yesterday. But I want to know, obviously, first of all, what Dray's thoughts are on Braun Strowman getting released, first of all.
Well, I've been reading up on it earlier. And the thing is that I feel that these are mad cost-cutting measures because it is said to believe that Braun Strowman earns $1 million a year. $1 million plus a year. And I just feel that they wanted a cost-cut measure because I think after his match against Lashley, he wasn't used after that. So I think it's a cost-cutting measure. There's now rumors happening, which I don't know if we want to talk about this too, about apparently there's a rumors that WWE might sell themselves to NBC. But who knows? That's another story in its entirety. But this is very shocking, especially since Braun Strowman was homegrown in WWE, trained by WWE from obscurity, a big man, big physique, great outfit, everything that Vince McMahon wants in a wrestler, let alone a man. But he's out. He doesn't exist.
I was not expecting that one. Some of the other ones will come on to in a minute, kind of gravy. It was shocking, really, because you're right with it. It does feel, because of the contract he's on, his contract was going on till 2023, I've been reading.
Yeah, 2023, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that's interesting about it is he's like, the fact is, they're still, obviously, he's getting paid some kind of guarantee. So to get him off the books is still going to cost him a lot of money. And I'm staggered over it, John. That's why, because I think he was limited in WWE, but whether that's down to the fact is he'd gone off the boil or wasn't interested, I'm really not sure now. And it's going to be interesting to see where he goes next, because some people obviously going for the AEW thing, and I'm not sure on that, because after all those, did you read the comments he made last year about Twitter indie wrestling?
He said something along the lines of indie wrestlers to stop being broke, and essentially had ridiculed indie wrestlers by just being broke all the time. And, that really rubbed people up the wrong way.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether he'll come back to wrestling, to be honest with you. There's talk going around he's going to go to one of the Japanese organisations, or he might go into full-time bodybuilding. So
who knows? But whatever he's done in WWE, he's made a fortune.
That was what she's all about, really. Good luck to the guy. Good luck to him.
He's made more of a fortune than 99% of poets in the world that are combined. So
Oh God, yes, completely with that. So no, I agree. I agree with that one completely. Good luck to the guy, so. And the other big name was Alistair Black. Obviously,
And this surprised me even more because literally they were building up a storyline with him in his return, but now that's all cut. It's crazy. I honestly don't believe it. I don't know why. Why? This is mad. I mean, we have other names such as Lana. I think Lana's probably on a lot of money, but they didn't need her for whatever reason. We've also got Ruby Riott, which was a shock because
yes, good
the
worker.
wrestler formerly known as Heidi Lovelace, very high quality. Murphy was a big shock as well because they built a lot in Murphy, but then they just burned him down.
Yeah, it was bizarre. It just feels like to me. Sorry, mate. Go on, mate.
I was just going to say, all these cost-cutting measures, what's happening with WWE? Why are they cost-cutting? Because they make so much money with these TV deals. I don't understand why they're doing this. I don't know.
Yeah, it just feels like to me, and it's like they've just reported, haven't they, the record profits for the last year, and then this goes and happens. It's just absolute staggering, absolute staggering. But what I've worked at businesses before now. They've done cost cutting like that to try and trim the fat off it. It's clearly there's something coming. With Nick Khan obviously been given much more power in the company now. He's been striking some big deals for them. So it says to me that there's something else coming, and I'm not sure what yet. And I think we're going to find out shortly.
Absolutely.
And who's not to say this is the end of the releases? I don't think it is. I can see there've been more people going for this is done.
Absolutely. More to come.
And hopefully, let's hope then for AEW's perspective, the best of them go to AEW.
Yeah. Bryan Danielson, if you are still around, come.
Yes, agreed. Cool.
Omega Danielson, that is 20 stars right there.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I would love that. Let's hope for the future. Next pay-per-view, please. But anyway, of course, we're here today to talk about Double or Nothing. So I've got to say before we start, Dre, I've not seen the buy-in. Did you watch the buy-in?
I didn't watch the buy-in because myself and Miss Zira, we watched the pay-per-view together. It was her first wrestling pay-per-view experience, so we didn't have time to watch the buy-in.
Oh wow, brilliant! Did she enjoy it generally? Then
she found the very last match too violent, and she did not. It's not her cup of tea. But hey ho, more tea for us.
Okay, right. Well, we'll skip the buy-in then. Obviously, just for record's sake, the buy-in had a fight of Serena Deeb versus Rio, and Deeb won in 14 minutes or so to retain the NWA title. Yeah. The reviews I've been reading up did say it was a good fight, but again, I've not seen it, so I can't comment. So
yeah, I've heard it was rated around 4 stars plus by people. Hold on, I can quickly look at Cage Match. While I look at Cage Match, what happened at the beginning of the show?
Yes, okay. Well, you get that off for us then. Yes, on the main pay-per-view card itself, we had first match was Brian the Machine Cage versus Hangman Adam Page. This fight went on for approximately 12 minutes or so. Now, I've got to say to start with, I actually liked what they had Brian Cage coming out with first of all. He's I don't know. It's one of these ones like made to try and make him look a bit more like a machine. And I really, really enjoyed that. I thought it was a really, really good start. So, and what pleased me to begin with was why Dre still sorting himself out is I loved the fact that we had a full house crowd there, and you could see the crowd was really, really into this fight. And it was like, and certainly I can remember when at the beginning where Hangman took Page off the top rope with a Rana out of the corner for a near fall almost at the beginning. And then you had obviously tried to powerbomb him as well. But the crowd was absolutely going ballistic at that point. And it brought back a lot of good memories to me of the earlier pay-per-views pre-pandemic. So what were your thoughts on this one, Dre?
I felt that it was evident that Hangman Adam Page is red hot with the wrestling fans. It was the first wrestling pay-per-view event since before pandemic where full wrestling crowd was at Double or Nothing. Yes, it was reduced capacity, but who cares? It was electric. It was exciting. And I have to dare say the crowd was all in for Hangman and Page. I think it was a great match, a great opener. I felt that they really played on a potential Cage face turn because during when Hook and Ricky Starks tried to interfere, they inadvertently cost Cage the match. And so will there be a Cage face turn and a fracturing of Team Taz?
All should be revealed, but yeah, I think so. I think so.
Rating, on the pre-show, which the buy-in is
Oh,
out
yes.
of 10 match is 7.43. And for perspective, Double or Nothing, the main pay-per-view, it had 225 votes. It had a match rating. It had an overall pay-per-view rating of 9 out of 10.
Whoa. Now let's see if we can start giving it that sort of thing at the end of it. Watch his space. So, right. On the first fight, then, obviously, before we stop ourselves both getting confused, what mark are you giving, obviously, Cage versus Page then for the first fight?
In terms of stars, I would give it a flat 4 stars.
Yeah, 4 for me. Great start. Really, really good start that was. I always notice that with AEW and pay-per-views and even the TV shows, Dynamites, they like to get a good, exciting fight, don't they, to start things off on.
Yeah,
and I think that was a really good choice to start off that. I thought it was a great fight, and I think 12 minutes so, which looks like it was round about probably the right length for it as well. So, okay, now the second fight, moving straight on, was the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson versus Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Now, I've not spoke to you, obviously, Dre, since obviously they changed Jon Moxley's theme music over. How do you feel about having the Trogs Wild thing as his new intro music?
It's awesome because the way I see it is that this is, I can't remember who it's attributed to, but I believe this was a tribute to an old Japan wrestler from the 90s, and we all know Wild Thing. I think it's pretty cool. It's awesome. I think it's amazing, in my opinion. I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I do as well. It was a great choice to put him up with theme music. That was straight away. So, and how have you felt then? Because I've not spoken to you for a while as well. How have you felt about the chemistry between Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley recently?
Exceptional. It's great. Obviously, we all know that Eddie Kingston's at the back end of his career. We know he's not as at his prime as he used to be, but his mic skills are still as exceptional as ever.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think he's a great worker. Really, really great worker. And you're right, he's in the possibility. He's what is he, 40 or 39, 40, isn't he? So I know he's getting on a bit now, certainly. But you're right, his career. I know he's a few years old. I know he's a few years older than Moxley, certainly. Like I said, but no, he's such
39.
39, yeah. He's such a charismatic worker. I mean, his carries a lot of the, obviously, things he might have lost over time, basically. But I'm a big fan of him. Big fan of him since he came in. He won my heart immediately. He's been just a great, charismatic guy. So,
yeah,
I've got to say, let's go back to this then. The match lasted 21 minutes, and I've actually really been enjoying the transformation of the Bucks, actually, since they turned them heel. Because I was I think the rest of the time in AEW in places, it's been a bit inconsistent. I'm not going to say bad, inconsistent where they've been booked. But I think they seem to give them a lot more focus in the last couple of months since they've been heels. I think it really adds a lot to this fight. So, because I thought it was a really, really good fight. This. What do you think, Dre?
I believe that when it comes to this, the Young Bucks, they could wrestle any style of match. So they did a more brawling, kind of more in-your-face, smash mouth style match in order to complement Eddie Kingston and Moxley because they're both brawlers. I felt was great. I felt the comedy was there in the sense of the Dior Nike shoes. I thought it was quite funny. I just feel that the Young Bucks, they have to be arguably the greatest tag team in wrestling history. I mean, they've been killing it for over a decade, and they're still. I feel their prime years are still here.
Yeah, no, agree. It's on the day they always have good fights having an AEW. This one, I think, was a great fight. I think you're right of it. It was a much more brawling sort of style, this one. And I liked the fact, I loved the fact where you had Moxley and Kingston jumping, starting the fight for the even bell. And then I love did you catch what Jim Ross said about this? I think he said right at the beginning, he said basically, if styles make fights, the styles really conflict between these two teams. And I thought it was a really interesting call by Joel Goodall JR. Yeah, but this was a brilliant fight, this was. And I think 21 minutes, it didn't seem like it went on forever, did it? So I think it got rough. It really got rough towards the end of it.
At times, but I think the right team won. I feel that Moxley will take an extended timeout because Moxley is going to become a dad for the first time with Renee.
Yeah, she must be due fairly soon, Troubadour. I've not checked. But this does feel like to me like it was a sort of feud based to time over. Until then, basically, he must be going on paternity leave for a while shortly to take a break.
Yeah,
that's why. But yeah, no. I thought if even Minetti both took a break after this, I'd be happy for the band. I think they've earned it. Because I think it was such a good, powerful fight. This, and there was a lot of really good moments in it. Now, I did really like where they did all the BTE triggers on Moxley, and they cracked him. I think it was 5, and he just his eyes were wild, didn't he? Right at the end, I think it was the end of the first or second one, saying, "Come on, give me more." Then, so they kept cracking him one. Eventually, I thought to myself, "He's going to go down and not get up here." Okay, nobody could take much more of that. It was brilliant. Right, okay then. We better give this a mark, hadn't we then? So what are you going to give this one out of 5, Dre?
4.25 stars. Exceptional match.
4.5 for me. It was one of my favourite matches of the night, this one, without doubt. I thought it was a belting match it was. Really, really good match. So, okay, and let's have a look. The next one after that was the Casino Battle Royal.
Oh, yes.
Now, we better explain to people the rules on this one, haven't we, really? So, what legal rules there was.
I'm happy to do that. So,
would you like to do it? Go for it,
wrestlers, 21 wrestlers participate. Wrestlers start with 5 in each suit. So, for example, Spade, I believe, was first. So the first 5 came in, and the next 3 minutes, the next 5 go in, and then the last one's a Joker, which is a surprise entrant. Now, I was so happy, skipping a little bit, I was so happy that they gave the winner to a young man, unlike the other company that keeps pushing wrestlers over both our ages.
They put a few that's older than me, so yeah, says it all.
Absolutely. So, what were your thoughts on the Battle Royal?
Yeah, very, very good. I think it was just double check the rough length of that. It was around about 24 minutes. I think it was very, very well booked and paced. This was actually true. To be honest with you, straight away, and I felt one of those. Some of the fights tonight, and this is a minor criticism. I could see. I thought innocently. I thought, I bet he wins it or she wins it when the fight starts. This one, I wasn't sure. I had it down to possibly 3 or 4 people I thought might win it, but they went with the right winner in this one. Did straight away, and it was I thought I liked the fact where they managed to carry on a few feuds as well, and there was a great little nudge between Matt Hardy and Christian. Actually, there was. That was a brilliant bit of nostalgia for people of that old enough to remember it like me. The tabled ladders and chairs matches. I thought it was brilliant. Very, very, very clever that was. So now, what did you think of the surprise entrance?
Leo Mother Truckin' Rush. Oh yes, Leo Rush. I definitely popped for that. My partner didn't have a clue why I was so happy to see Leo Rush. And yeah, really great to see Leo Rush there. I believe that it's a handshake deal where I don't think anything's concrete per se, but I think if Leo Rush wants to stay more permanently, we could have Leo Rush versus Pentagon, Leo Rush versus Ray Phoenix, Leo Rush versus Jungle Boy. The
Yeah.
match is so on.
I'd forgot. I hadn't seen him for a while. Because obviously I don't really watch WWE nowadays at all. But I remembered him in Fast, but I'd forgotten how greased lightning he was. He was like a hurricane going around that ring. He was.
Absolutely, and that is incredible.
Yeah, from what I've been reading about that is, you're right. It's a handshake deal where I think he's wrestling with one of the companies in Japan still at the moment, mostly.
Japan strong.
Yeah, that was it. And he was with one of them. And basically, this is a handshake deal where he's coming as a one-off, I've been told, and with the option of coming back again in the future if both all parties are happy with it.
Yeah.
I thought he really had some. He carried himself like a real star tonight. He did, and I thought to myself it was a big difference between that when he was with his previous company in America, should we say, who I think they looked down at him all the time. They did. I thought, yeah, brilliant. Very, very, very good tonight.
And the fact is that Leo Rush is still 26. Now, in wrestling terms, that is young.
I forgot he was that young, yeah, because he's one of those guys who's been around for a few years, hasn't he? And sometimes you get that sort of case where you've been there a few years, you forget when they came through fairly young. You're right. He's 26. Good God. Good God.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, I've got to ask you then, obviously, well, we could talk about this all day, like I said. But how did you feel about the end of it then, when you just had, obviously, the last three with Matt Hardy, Christian, and Jungle Boy?
So I knew Matt Hardy wasn't going to win, but it was going to be down to Christian and Jungle Boy. Now, it was very interesting that Christian was in the last two of this Battle Royale. And the equivalent of this is the Royal Rumble, where his best friend and compadre, Edge, won the Royal Rumble 2021. Now, it's amazing that AEW pushes young, hungry talent and making them relevant and not be buried. Now, Jungle Boy Jack Perry is still very young. He's only 23 years old. 23.
Incredible talent as well, he is. Really, really unbelievable. They've got a real major star with him, like they have with Darby Allin, really. Darby Allin, we'll come on to in a bit, I think he's going to win the main belt for them. And I don't know whether Jungle Boy will win, obviously beat who the champion is. Well, I'm very carefully avoiding that and saying who it is now. But that has been announced 2 weeks' time. And I can't see him winning it now. But this will be like his first major shot at the belt. So they're going to make him look really strong.
Yeah. 2 weeks' time, I guess we will see what happens.
Looking forward to that fight. That'll be a really good fight as well, that.
Yeah.
Now, okay. On to marking then for the Battle Royal. What are you going to give this out of 5 then?
I think that even though Matt Hardy is past it, but he made it fun with the private party. Leo Rush, a surprise entrant. Jungle Boy winning. Strong performances all round, unless you're Serpentico.
Yeah, Pentacle was really good.
I will go for 4 stars.
4 for me as well. Again, really 3 really, really good fights in this were, which covered pretty well the first hour and a bit. Yeah, really good first hour of that. Really worth watching. Okay, the next fight after that. This one's been a bit of the controversial one, this one, because I've read some really damning reviews of this next fight online, which is Anthony Ogogo with QT Marshall versus Cody Rhodes with Arn Anderson. And this fight went on for 11 minutes. What did you think of this one, Dre?
Well, I think I felt very unhappy that our guy Anthony Ogogo didn't go and pummel the living hell out of Cody Rhodes. How dare he do that to our Olympic bronze medalist? But jokes aside, I felt that if Ogogo won, that would have been a shock. But what really struck me in that match is Ogogo really did some very good moves. He wasn't just a punch man. He did do quite a few wrestling moves. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, he didn't do bad at all, actually. I felt he looked green, But again, this is probably his first major fight, really, because
Yeah, exactly.
that's why. And of what I can understand, I've been reading up on this one. Apparently, and this is obviously breaking the fourth wall, this, but Cody and him spent a good couple of weeks getting this fight prepared. And to be honest with you, I thought he did good, to be honest with you. It wasn't great, but he did good. I think sometimes for a first fight, sometimes he's trying to get the balance right on it. So, like I said, but I think they also did really well. Obviously, like Cody got punched almost straight away by him. I thought that worked really well because they were trying to build the storyline not immediately, weren't they? Like Cody had to be afraid of his punching, and he got him a few times with the punches. But it was a steady fight. It was far from my favourites of the night. I've got to be honest, but it was okay. But there has been a lot of criticism towards Cody in this, hasn't there? Really? Have you been reading about this, Dray?
Tell me more about this.
Yeah, Pete, there's been the criticism I'm going around. I've had a lot of this on Twitter. People going on about saying comparing him to Triple H again. That comparison's come round again, right? He's steamrolling over people, and I'm a bit iffy on that because I don't know if I fully agree with it. But I can see what they're getting out of it, really, because it's a real tricky one. They've got to be very careful with Cody, I think.
I think they need to. I can see the comparisons, but I think one thing I will say, and I listened to this at a podcast. I think, honestly speaking, I think they should really consider just have matches that aren't the most incredible. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they can't just have matches all the time. That's like, I mean, I can understand why, but at the same time, I don't know. I think Cody's at the right positioning in the company as a wrestler, but I can understand people's point of view. But I am relaxed. I'm relaxed.
Yeah, the one I think there's a few people hoping for at the moment with Cody is the hope that he's going to go and try. Obviously, like you've got the other VIPs are all obviously like heels now, and Cody's obviously still a face, isn't he? Now, when's Brandy, Cody's wife, due to give birth?
In a few months, I would say.
Yeah, he's obviously going to be taking quite a bit of time off as well, I reckon. Obviously, when she gives birth, but it feels like to me that they need to possibly, whether the feud he's in now with the factory is the right feud. I'm really not sure at the moment, but obviously, like, there's going to be another fighter coming up, isn't there? On this Friday, where it's Dustin and Lee Johnson, is it? Versus QT Marsh and Antiogogo. Now, it says to me, obviously, like this one, obviously, after what's happened here, and because this was done on there's not the Veterans Weekend in America, there's no way Cody was going to lose his fight. I felt it would cause problems, but they're going to have to get heat back on the factory on this. Obviously, this next one coming up on Friday. Dynamite, otherwise it event into Nightmare Collective Part 2 otherwise.
Yeah.
So I'll wait and see. But yeah, it was all right, made this fight. So what's your markings?
I'm going to go for a flat 3 stars. I don't think it was a bad match. It was good. Not amazing, not good.
Yeah, I think it was all right. It was all right to me. It was a downstep, certainly after the first 3 fights, and nowhere near as good. And I think three's a fair mark, so I agree with you, mate. Now, look, this tonight we've been agreeing generally so far, haven't we?
I know, it's not like that other guy from the Irish land.
Yeah, who keeps giving things in these strange fractions.
I know, these dastardly fractions. By the way, I think, what's happening? Oh no! Oh no! They keep balancing. Oh no!
Whoops.
No!
Yeah, well, it looks like I'm on a solo podcast now, guys and girls. I don't know what's happened to Dre's ear here. Perhaps he flew out the window, or I don't know. I don't think Paul McNamara is in the room, stood there. So, Umor, what are you doing here?
Don't know, man. Don't know, but here I am. Just suddenly appeared from nowhere. So, what's happening? Are we talking double or nothing?
We are indeed, yes. Now, obviously, that dastardly Dre Zay has done a runner on me. we're going to move on now to talking about Miro versus Lance Archer, which
Yeah.
again was 10 minutes. Do you think you could talk about that in the absence of that dastardly Dray Zaya?
Yeah, sure. That dastardly Duke of a man. Yeah, I think that, to be honest, I feel that the match was good. I expected more. I think there were shenanigans with the snake, which obviously was not a snake. Otherwise, the Peter would be on their deathbed. But honestly, I honestly think, Andy, that it was all right. It was all right. It wasn't amazing, but it was all right.
Yeah, I agree. On a slightly different note, do you ever watch the Dark Side of the Ring documentaries?
I have, but I haven't watched the series ones though.
Yeah, well, this week they had the one on the Ultimate Warrior, and Jake the Snake Roberts was on that. He was, and he was going on about basically where this is where people watching on a slightly different note. This when he had that time when the Warrior came along just after he died, and he made his peace of the Snake Roberts, because Roberts was there waiting outside his dressing room for him because he's going to have it out of him basically. There's that much bad blood. And the Warrior came up to him, tapped him on the shoulder in front of full security, hugged him and apologised like anything. And you could see him almost breaking up with tears. And I'm like,
was this in recent years or?
Well, it was that, you know, the Warrior died a couple of years ago, didn't
he? Yeah.
After WrestleMania. He came along the night after to do another promo in the ring. And it happened that night, apparently it did.
It happened in the week, yeah.
Yeah. It was brilliant. It's worth watching people like this. The snake broke down and I thought it was really quite, I could feel his emotion. And I just want to, I didn't know actually, he's 66, wasn't he, over the weekend as well, the snake is, would you believe?
Yeah, incredible way. Time flies.
Oh, yeah.
Jake the Snake in his prime.
God, he unbelievable work in his prime. And he was checking him out back then. Amazing he was. But yeah, I agree with you on that one. It was this. I felt this is better than the Cody fight, but I was expecting more because I've seen a lot of Lance Archer in Japan, and I feel in some ways AEW haven't really clicked with him yet because I think he's got a lot more to offer. Because the guy's got something.
I think they're holding it back, but we'll see. I think his time will come. But on the ratings now, I feel that honestly, I think because I expected more than the Cody match, 3 stars.
Yeah, I'll give it 3.5. It was better, but it wasn't tons better, if that makes sense. I do agree with you. But what do you reckon to the talk around about Lana possibly coming to AEW? Now she's been released as his mistress.
The most obvious thing around because her husband works there, but if she does, don't be in the ring. Just be a man. That's all.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if he needs to be honest, because I think it looks like he's got a fair head of steam going at the moment to himself. So that's why. But yeah, I enjoyed it and did enjoy it. So right, okay, we're on to the women's AEW women's title match next. This went on for 17 minutes and was Shida versus Dr. Britt Baker with Rival.
BMD.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Now, this I found a bit weird in places. It's a great fight. But the fact was, I felt like myself that now, obviously, Britt Baker's a champion of it. Are they going to keep her as a heel or turn her face?
Depends. I had this while listening to the One Nation Radio podcast. Big up James Boyd and Rick Fowler. I feel that honestly, my honest opinion is that they mentioned that Britt Baker promo skills is far and above the best personality in the women's division, and I feel that they need an antithesis in order for Britt Baker to go face. Now, the only person I can think of which was brought to my attention from that podcast is Jade Cargill in terms of her promo skills and that, but she's on the slow burner to the top.
Yeah,
so
no.
I think that she's going to be. I think she's going to be here for a while, and then she'll turn face eventually. But I think it's a wonderful time for Britt Baker to be champion. It's great that Hikaru Shida finally had a full crown while she was champion, because for more or less her title run, she basically had character in the whole pandemic era full of little to no people, and she deserves great respect for that. But it's Britt Baker's time. Her merchandise is going off the shelf. She is the face of the AEW Women Division, and that is DMD-tastic. What did you think of the match quality itself? I thought it was a little patchy, but I thought it was great for nearer to the end, so I can give it some respite.
Yeah, me too as well. It was a slow burning fight, basically. I think it took its time getting going, and they had 17 minutes to play with it, and that's more than the women's fight usually get in AEW, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I thought it was a good fight. I really enjoyed it. I knew she was going to win straight away. Britt Baker was coming a mile off, but I said, but no, it was a good fight, and I thought Cheetah got the respect she deserved of the crowd on it. So yeah, good fight, very very good fight.
Thank you, Cheetah chants after the match.
Yeah. They had a promo on Dark Evolution or Evolution the day after, where Thunder Rosa was calling her out. So I think it's with Thunder Rosa going against Britt Baker first, to be honest with you. Well, they get ready for Jade Cargill, basically. So wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you rate the match out of 5 stars?
I'm going to give it the same mark as the previous fight, Lance Archer one against Miro. 3.5 out of 5. It was a good fight. I did enjoy it.
I'm going to go for 3.75 stars. Yes, I am fractionally decimaling like our McNamara, but I can't give it 4 stars. I can't give it 3.5.
Yeah, it was somewhere in the middle, basically, wasn't it? So yeah, that's fair play, mate. Fair play. Right, okay then. Right, we'll move on now to Sting and Darby Allin versus Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. This went on. Was it really? I'm just looking at the reporter in the line here, and when it went on for 13 minutes, this fight, it felt longer than that.
There was a lot of intrigue in this. Now, first and foremost, as a individual that has followed Sting's whole career, how did you find Sting's performance?
I thought it was exceptional. He really he was careful the way he carried himself. They set a lot of that up. There was a lot of very, very clever booking in that fight. It was. I noticed that, but all 4 wrestlers, they must have really planned it out to make sure to highlight Sting, make him look as good as what he did, and to give him credit at the end of it, he didn't look that puffed. He didn't. And I thought to myself, that shows you what sort of shape he was in. He felt like to me he's in better shape now than any of his WWE runs.
Exactly. I think what it was is that he's had an amazing he has an amazing tag partner in Darby Allin, who definitely must have looked up to him when he was a little Stinger himself.
Oh God, yeah.
And yeah, it's exceptional. I think he was well protected, but when he came on, he's on fire. I think it was a very fun match.
Excellent. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page for me did the John Morrison and Miz sort of roles. They felt like that sort of comical, heelish sort of baddies they were done. They played it very, very to where those two done it, took lots of big bumps to highlight the other two. I thought this was a very, very well done fight, to you. And it was like, I love the fact where you had right at the beginning when Scorpio Sky raked Sting's face on the stage and suplexed him quickly. Then Sting just got up and was right around the back of him, and I thought that was such a good moment. It was.
Yeah.
It was a real, and then basically, like I said, it was obviously Sky. You could tell that Scorpio Sky was obviously a big fan of Sting as well back in then, because that must have been great fun for him to play the cowardly heel, not realizing Sting would pop back up right at the back of him. There was a lot of really, really good fun bits in this fight. There was.
Yeah, absolutely.
It felt to me as well like I think they were holding the first live Sting fight back until they had to get a proper live crowd in there. So obviously we had the cinematic fight a couple months ago, didn't we? Which was, I think they did it it was all that I felt was great and really great fun. But that felt like it was a tease towards a proper live fight like that. And I thought this was a great, great fight.
Exactly.
Was there do you have any favourite bits in that fight, did you? Anything that really stood out to you?
How hot the crowd was for Sting, because you got to bear this in mind. many people who watched it live, they may have never seen Sting wrestle before. So to see Sting wrestle and like that was great. It was very fun to watch.
Yeah, definite. That's why. I was reading Wade Keller's report on this, actually, quite interesting enough. And he actually thought Sting wrestled like a man 15 years younger than what he is. Because I think he's 62 now, Sting, isn't he?
It's incredible. Is he old enough to be your dad?
He's old enough to be my dad, really, right? But I said, but you're brilliant. Absolutely. It was such a good performance it was. And kudos to Darby Allin, Scorpio Sky, and Ethan Page. I thought the three of them were brilliant. It was
exactly.
it was probably, to this point, my favourite match of the night.
Exactly.
Now, what are you going to give this one out of 5 then, Umar?
4
4.
stars. 4. Yeah. For a 30-minute match, it had intrigue. It had everything I wanted. Go Sting.
Yeah, I think if it done 20 minutes, it would have got a 5 off me, or 13. Because obviously they're protecting Sting, it gets a 4 again. But it was a high 4, if that makes sense. Yeah. Really, really good fight.
Exactly, yeah.
Like I said, it was well worth anybody checking that one out straight away, because my favourite match of the night at that stage it was. Okay, after that we went on to Kenny Omega. I just check, there might have been some. I've got the feeling there was no, just right. I thought there was some after before that. There wasn't. They had a video package on it going about the build up to the next fight. Kenny Omega with Don Callis versus Orange Cassidy and Pac for the AEW World Heavyweight Title match. This one went on for 27 minutes. This was a long fight, this one. So,
what did before we talk about the match rating of all, what do you think of the moment when Kenny Omega knocked Pac with all 4 belts?
Oh God, yeah, that was there was some history behind that, somewhat, wasn't it? Because did Pac hold some of those belts, or all those belts in the past, apart from the AEW one?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, obviously he had history in some of the belts. I'm pretty sure of it. Yeah, but I thought that was absolutely crazy, that scene it was. But Pac is such a fucking good worker. He really, really is. And I do love it. I think Orange Cassidy's great, really, really good worker. But I think they needed Pac in this fight really to really elevate it, and it felt. You can see the difference in this when you ever watch an AEW three-person fight. The way they do it was so much slower, and this, as it went along this fight, it got more and more technical. Because there's some superior workers there. There is. That's why. It's probably Pac's best fight for me so far. I've seen him doing it in AEW.
Yeah, exactly. I just feel that it was wonderful. Thought it was great. The styles were great, amazing, wonderful, absolutely.
Yeah. Now there's been a bit of criticism over the last couple of minutes on it as well, where they felt, obviously, like I said, with all the belts things, they felt it was stage too far that towards the end of it. What do you reckon?
I found it funny. I think Kenny Omega being a heel, he can't just be best out fighting machine, goody two shoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they did the right thing, basically making him do something quite heelish at the end of it. So I think that was the right move of it, to be honest with you. That's why. But it was a cracking fight. God, I was absolutely exhausted by the end of that one.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the time and thought, fuck, we've got the Stadium Stampede match coming up next. That's going to go on for about 40 minutes as well.
Oh, what a match that was. Rating of the...
Yes, we'll come to that first. We'll give this the rating first of all, yeah. Now, I'm going to go for 5 out of 5 because I thought this was a bloody good fight. I wouldn't have objected if they'd actually finished the pay-per-view off of this one, to be honest with you.
I'd rate this 5. I'll tell you what, I'd rate this 4.75. I can't give it 5. There's a little bit too much shenanigans for a 5-star match for me. I will give it that.
Fair enough, yeah. They're still, like I said, we told people to go and watch it. It was a really good fight. What I did like about it was the crowd again, weren't they? Like it was the crowd, you can tell when people play it back. The crowd was 100% behind it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I can see Orange Cassidy actually getting that main belt sooner or later as well, actually.
I think he'd be a candidate for the TNT belt, but between you and me, I think Kenny Omega's going to have the title for a long time.
Yeah, I think he's got that belt coming for a while yet. I think if anyone's going to take it, it's going to be Hangman Page. That feels like the slow build-up for him. But whether that's this year, we'll find out in due course. So, right, okay. Okay, then. Well, we're moving on next then on to Full Gate, which is announced on 6th of November. Obviously, we've got the other pay-per-view on the 31st of August as well. Now, I've got to ask you as well, Matt.
That's all out.
All out. Yeah, all out, which is the 31st of August. Come on to them near the time. Then they did a quick, unexpected thing, didn't they? About announcing the surprise analysis for the new AEW show, Rampage.
Yeah.
Mark Henry. How do you feel about that, Dreamer?
I'm great with that. I think he was treated like a total bunch of crap in WWE towards the end. So a company like AEW should give Mark Henry the respect he deserves. So
yeah,
good stuff. Stay out of the ring.
I think it's a good move. They brought him in doing a similar sort of role to Paul White. And I think Paul White, aka the Big Show, been really good since he's come in. And they brought him in really to help out to coach some of the bigger lads. They've got the younger lads. And these two themselves, they've been around for so long, they know what they're doing. So, and I think it's good. It's a very good move. So, but anyway, okay. They have mentioned what the fights are for Friday, but we'll come on to that in a bit. Okay, very quick before we finish. But to conclude with, we've got the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle and Stadium Stampede 2, and this went on for 32 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, what did you reckon to this one?
Great. I loved it. What I love the most about it is when they actually cut to live from pre-tape. That was amazing.
They did that really well, actually. I felt when they brought it, obviously the 4 wrestlers in on that, it was very, very smoothly done. And I thought it had to do it, obviously, to conclude the pay-per-view. But it was, no, I wasn't expecting Sammy to get the win, actually. I thought it'd be Chris Jericho, actually.
I think it was wonderful that Sammy Guevara got the win, and that really propels them up, in my opinion. I think big things are going to happen to Sammy Guevara, and tell me, what highlights did you find in that in the match? Were there any funny moments?
I loved the beginning, actually. Really loved the beginning when you got obviously MGF pulled up in that limousine, called them out, and then obviously they all came down from the sky, didn't they, across the board? And I thought, oh, that was a great bit. And then I was thinking to myself, there's no way all the Pinnacle are going to be in the Porsche. And I like the fact where you had MJF, and he played that snarky heel really well, really, really well. And he went and hid in the Porsche where all his lackeys came out. Then he tried sneaking out, and Jericho was waiting for him. And I thought that was really, really well done. That was.
Exactly.
Was there any good bits you particularly liked about it?
Well, I love the part when Guevara was looking for our very own chairman, and then suddenly went for some weird Mortal Kombat scene where he was just sitting in the whole part of the chair, just waiting, and that was mad. And I just really felt like various parts of the whole match was funny. And you know what? Though actually, the best part of the match was an homage to the last Stadium Stampede when Sammy Guevara had the go-kart and was running after. Running after, absolutely.
I think it's one of those sort of fights. It's going to divide a lot of people's opinions, and I quite enjoyed it. But whether it's as good as the first one,
Sean Spears. Why do I keep getting a pain? But yeah, go on.
Yeah, I don't think it was as good as the first one. Truth be told, you.
I thought
different times.
I think it was different. I think it was better than the first. I preferred the second to the first, but it was different. The first one had more comedy. This one was more visceral.
Yeah, that's the difference of it. I think they had to. You're looking at the times when they're both done. The first one, obviously, we were just hitting the pandemic, weren't we? So it's like they had to. It's more comical to try and give people that boost, and it worked for what it was. But you're right. I did like the bit in the club, obviously between the two teams.
With Conan.
Conan. Yeah, I love Conan. He's great fun, Conan. That's why, and I love Conan's cameo, and I thought that bit was really good. There's some bits of it that were a bit iffy in places for me, but yeah, But you're dealing with that sort of fight. Not all the segments are going to work. But again,
Exactly.
it had a really good conclusion. That was good. It was a really good ending.
Exactly, 100%. I could not agree more.
Right, okay.
100% 5 stars. What about you?
Oh yeah, I'll give it 5. Definitely for that. No, it was worth watching. Yeah, 5 again. I'll give 5 definitely. I'll give it 2. I thought the last 2 fights were both really good. Good. Yeah. It was a bit of saying that. It was a good strong pay-per-view. It was a really good pay-per-view.
People are saying it's one of the best pay-per-views they've ever seen. I loved it. I think overall it was really complimentary. It was so much fun to watch, and also it's what AEW does very well. They show that they care about the fans, right? And they really have that great strong relationship with bond, and I thank them for it. Which is why this pay-per-view is getting an A+ rating. A+.
Oh yeah, straight away for me. Has to be 10 out of 10 or 10.5 out of 10 if you want. Yeah, no, great pay-per-view. The ratings that they've had on it, the sales have been the second highest one they've ever had. I've read somewhere.
Yeah.
So it showed because it's, and what I do like about their pay-per-views is the last one we talked about with Paul Revolution, I think it was. They were about the same length. They're about 3. They're under 4 hours long.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a good length. You don't need to do more than that. When you get to the WWE approach, 5-6 hours.
For God's sake, please no.
It's too much. Can't concentrate on that stage. And I watched it all. Well, I had to take a break at this one halfway through to go and do a couple of errands. But as I did the Revolution, the previous one, I thought to myself, no, they were really good. I could have happily sat through and watched all of that and not felt too exhausted by the end of it. That's why no, excellent stuff. It was really, really good pay-per-view. Now, before we conclude, they have announced what the Friday night and Dynamite lineup's going to be. So, we'll quickly go through these of you, and you tell me what you think, okay?
Go ahead.
Right, you've got Nick Camarada versus Dustin Rhodes.
Camarada should win.
Yeah, I think so as well. You got the Bucks versus Pac and Penta.
Bucks will win either by nefarious means or otherwise.
Yeah, I do as well. And you got Marshall and Nagolo versus Cody and Lee Johnson.
I think I'll go. I don't know. I have no idea. I think there'll be high shenanigans that I don't know. I can't decide. Yeah,
well, I think Dustin's going to get his head going to get whacked one. Going to get really done over by Nick Camarada. The other one will be there. That'll be but they've got to make QT Marshall and Nancy Gogo look strong, whether they win or not. And then you've got Britt Baker's title celebration. So there's not really a ton on, unless you've announced something else on top of it. But the one I'm looking forward to more is Kenny Omega versus Jungle Boy 2 weeks' time. So,
yeah, I think that'll be the big show. I think because the NHL playoffs, I believe they had to shift it over to Friday, and also, it's a come down from Double or Nothing. So I think the week after will be really electric, in my opinion.
Yeah, will be, because you're obviously looking at the fact that I've had to do it on Friday again. And the ratings of the Friday's episode last week, I think they were 525,000, the lowest ever rating they've done.
It's a terrible time slot. It's like at 10 p.m. on a Friday in America. That's terrible.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all. So, but that's possibly why they're moving channels next year, aren't they? So, but
I think it's still within the same TNT network, but that's still great, amazing.
Yeah, I think personally it's a good move for them. But good luck to them, definitely as well. That's it, guys and girls. Anyway, conclude. It's been a fantastic pay-per-view. Check it out. Yeah. Right, guys. Well, that's it for us today. Now, before we conclude, Umor, have you got any books out at the moment you want to tell people about?
So, I'll tell you what. Dray Zero does have a book called Broken Circuit Board. It is out. It has been out since 2017. Go buy it now. DrayZero.net. Check on the merch store and go for it. Absolutely. Especially since this week marks the 5th year anniversary of Dray Zero.
Really? Good grief. Mm-hmm. Good grief. You've had to put up with for 5 years now, have you? You poor man.
I know. It's terrible, isn't it?
It's an awful man he is. He keeps invading poor Umor's life, he does. And Umor at least wants him, or at least expects it. It's like a bad penny.
Like, if it's like a Jekyll and Hyde kind of effect, isn't it? But who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
But
Watch this
yeah,
space.
but yeah, Andy, as this is the Wrestle Up show, and you have 100% of all profits, and you are the head honcho, like
sure
Vince
was.
McMahon, and you have the final word.
Yeah, I've got nothing else to say really. So apart from we'll be back. Who knows when? Don't know yet. Probably just before the next pay-per-view. We'll have a catch-up.
Or maybe sooner if we stop having a tan at this very warm weather we're having.
Oh, God, yeah, completely. Hopefully next time we can get all three of us in the same room at the same time. The way schedules have been going this year, people noticed, Uma's not been able to make it, or Dre has, or in that case, they can make it, Paul can't make it, so, but we'll say so.
But the thing is Paul Dre Zero? Find out.
We'll find out, won't we? Perhaps next time. So, well, who knows? Knowing that Paul, that dastardly Paul's capable of anything. He is the Doctor, right? So, right, guys. See you all next time. Stay safe. Stay over. See you soon.